All right, hello TrustSwap community. Jeff Kerdakis here. Super excited and having a really good day today. The team is actually firing on all cylinders, so I'm feeling really, really good. We've made a few new hires in the recent past, and it's just been a pleasure and a joy to work with these guys. And we've been building and becoming productive like never before. It's just a really good time for TrustSwap, and so I'm really excited to be doing this AMA. We've got over 140 questions that rolled in. So obviously we're not going to go through all of them. I'll try to keep this within an hour and a half. I will keep this within an hour and a half. And so I'll maybe skip over a couple. I'm sure there are a couple duplicates in there. And we'll try to make this value rich for you guys. So to start off, I'd kind of just last time I did an AMA was about a month ago. So there's been a ton that's happened within that month. But rather than talk about what has happened within that month, because you can always go to the Telegram announcement channel, the Discord announcement channel, our Medium blog. It shows everything that's been happening there. I'd like to talk about what we're currently working on right now first off, and then one small distinction that I keep hearing come up in the community, and then I'll hop right into the questions. So let's get to it. So first off, depending on when you're hearing this video, on March 24th, we are integrating with Binance Smartchain. So what does this mean? There's going to be a few different layers of integration. So phase one, Team.Finance, TrustSwap's token lock and liquidity lock software, which currently has around $750 million, $800 million worth of value locked in. That's going to open up to Binance Smartchain. So any token on Binance Smartchain will be able to use Team Finance. Next up in the future, probably about a month down the road, once Smart Launch goes live. Smart Launch, if you're not familiar, it allows anybody to create a fully audited token within minutes, 100% for free. That's going to be provided on Binance Smart Chain. That'll be probably in just over a month or so after we launch on ETH. So first, March 24th, it's simply opening Team Finance up for Binance Smart Chain, the token locks, the liquidity locks. We're not putting TrustSwap token on Binance Chain. We're not doing anything like that for phase one. That will come later on down the line. If you're not familiar with Smart Launch, this is actually probably what I'm the most excited about within the whole entire TrustSwap ecosystem. Whenever somebody creates a token, we're taking 0.4% of the supply, putting it into a farming pool, and then everybody can farm that token using swap. So this is separate from the main 50 million swap staking pool. If you have staked in that 50 million swap staking pool, you're going to get a bonus percentage on how much you can farm. But essentially, it's a 30-day farming pool. So let's say I create Jeff token, 0.4% is placed into the Jeff farm, and you can now farm Jeff token 100% for free. If you're staking swap in the main staking pool, you're going to get a bonus on your pool proportion, because if you have 10% of the staking pool, you're going to get 10% of the rewards, and so 10% of whatever is available to be farmed. So I see this taking a ton of swap out of the circulating supply and just creating a really exciting, robust ecosystem where people can throw ideas into the world, and people can essentially, get involved, with these ideas by simply farming them for free. So I think it's a huge, huge, huge win-win all the way around. March 29th, partial unstake goes live. That's a feature that a lot of people have been asking for. So that will be happening on March 29th. Also, this is cool, March 29th, the Launchpad farming pools. So, we've had a few Launchpads come through and they've allocated 1% of their total token supply, Modify being one of them, a project that everybody loves. They've allocated 1% of their total token supply to the TrustSwap farming pool. So what does this mean? Let's say there's, I don't know the exact number, but let's say, $100,000 worth of value or $500,000 worth of value in that farming pool. It's a 30-day pool, and whatever percentage of the pool that you own, like if you stake 10% of swap in relation to the rest of the pool, you're going to be earning 10% of those rewards. And the rewards happen, I believe, it's actually every second. So it's not something that you can game. You can't just jump in and jump out on a daily basis. Very, very cool. March 29th, also, this one is very cool. Team Finance Avalanche integration. So Avalanche, another really incredible scalable blockchain. It's going to be the exact same story as what we're doing with Binance Smart Chain. If you're not seeing the trend yet, clearly what we're doing is we are going cross-chain. TrustSwap is just not Ethereum. We are expanding to all blockchains with our token locks, with our liquidity locks, with our smart launch, with the mint, with the farming pools, everything. With Launchpads, it's expanding very quickly. Next up, rolling into April, we have 2 Launchpads and 4 flash launches. So I'll talk about the distinction of those in a little bit, because I think that's where there's been a lot of confusion and potentially some a little bit of discrepancies in the community. April 5th, we have the demo of Swappable. That is our NFT platform. Going to launch the demo out, finally ready for public viewing. We're going to show you guys around a Swappable. And then also on April 5th, we have the Yield app $4 million airdrop to swap stakers. It's $4 million if you guys sign up. So it's $4 million distributed amongst 5,000 swap stakers that were staked on December 7th, I believe. But if you don't sign up, if you don't KYC, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get that airdrop. The Yield app, in the last month since they've been live, they've realized, you know what, we need to get a little bit tighter with our, regulatory standings. So we need to KYC everyone that we're sending the tokens out to. You can't fault them for that. That's just the way of crypto. I know we all want to live in a decentralized world where, it's totally lawless and you can do whatever you want. But unfortunately, as it gains more traction and mainstream attention, you actually need to be a lot more compliant. So it's a double-edged sword, and U.S. stakers, U.S. domiciled persons are not allowed to stake anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem for you to KYC to get your Yield app allocation. I believe each airdrop is worth around $750 to $800, so definitely worth the couple seconds it takes to submit your KYC. April 10th, the Swappable public launch. We're going full launch on Swappable. This is tentative date, as long as everything goes smoothly as we anticipate. And then we're going to be kicking it off with some very cool auctions, some internal auctions that are going to kind of be like with the TrustSwap community, providing value, like, hey, these NFTs have certain utility within the TrustSwap community. But we also have some very, very big auctions coming up. I'll just say, actually, I won't give any hints, but we anticipate one of these auctions is going to go for well north of $1 million for one particular NFT. So we're excited to get that out there. Then April 15th, as I mentioned, is the demo of Smart Launch. That is the, being able to generate the token within seconds. And we also are April 15th going to roll out with a new website. So we've already updated our website. We're going to update it again. Always improving. And then April 29th is the Smart Launch. I'm just to triple check, I said the demo of Smart Launch is on the 15th. Smart Launch Live is on the 29th. And we're going to have a lot more stuff in April, guys. That's just kind of like the high-level stuff that we can announce right now that we have firm dates on that we can definitely commit to. And there's always, as you guys know, things that happen. 1 month in crypto is an eternity. So with that being said, on one moment. So yeah, the kind of the distinction between Launchpads and Flash launches. So Launchpads, of course, you guys know if you stake 4,000 swap or you have a 2,500 swap score, you get a guaranteed allocation. So if you just stake the swap, just hold it in there, guaranteed allocation. Those guaranteed allocations vary based on how many people participate. If the Launchpad is only for $1 million, and let's say 1 million people apply, just to keep the numbers really easy, you're only getting $1. So, that doesn't really make it doesn't. There's issues in scalability, let's say, and that's why we introduced flash launches, because flash launches are what we're doing for raises under $750,000 for this exact reason. We've seen in some launch pads that the allocation levels have been around $250, which is a great thing, honestly, because it prevents, big whales dumping, and it allows, it means that there's a lot of people interested in this launch pad. It shows that there's a lot of momentum in the TrustSwap economy, which is fantastic. However, once it gets lower than $250, it starts to not be worth it for people, not worth the time. And so to kind of prevent that, it goes down to allocations of $50 where the gas fees essentially negate the utility of actually even signing up for these launch pads. We've created flash launches, which essentially mean it's going to be a $500 guaranteed allocation. Well, it's a $500 allocation, and that's set in stone. That's guaranteed. But rather than everybody getting an allocation, it's more of a lottery style basis. So, of course, everyone says, the reason why I like TrustSwap is because they offered guaranteed allocations. Well, I agree, and that's why I still really enjoy our Launchpad process, and we're really still the only ones who are doing that. And we've been offering, since we've started, around 1 or 2 Launchpads every single month, and that's never changed. It's always been 1 or 2 a month. Last month, we announced flash launches, which are now an addition. So in addition to the 1 or 2 guaranteed allocations, you also get an opportunity at these flash launches, which offer, these $500 opportunities. You can even buy golden tickets for a guaranteed spot in. And so it's an addition to the ecosystem. I know a lot of people are a little bit confused. They think that we're going against our morals because, no, it's not guaranteed anymore. And I just say, guys, remember that it is not something that's being taken away. You're actually getting an addition. You get the same thing you've always had, 1 to 2 launch pads per month. And then in addition, you are also getting 3 to 4 flash launches per month. So it's an addition, it's not a detraction. Some people say it creates a little bit of confusion. That's okay. We will work to clear that confusion as best as we can. But we're not going to take away services just because it's a little bit confusing, because it adds a ton of value into the ecosystem. Check out Cellframe, check out Stater. I think they're about 45x and 20x each right now after a couple days. So clearly these flash launches are very beneficial for people. We're going to continue to do them, and we're going to continue with Launchpads as well. So really, really good stuff. I apologize to anyone who feels, it's confusing or misleading. I know when we first announced, I think the part where people feel misled is at the beginning of the month, we said, hey, we have five projects coming out in the month of March. And I think we used the word Launchpads, and we hadn't announced flash launches yet, even though we knew about them. And so that made people think that there were 5 guaranteed allocations. So we should have announced flash launches first, because there was really no other way for us to announce 5 projects, because nobody knew what the other alternatives were. So apologize for not getting out the flash launch announcement beforehand. Now we know, and as you can see in our messaging, we've learned our lesson. Now we're being very descriptive on what it is, flash launch versus launchpad. So people know, people are not misled. Even in our roadmap right now, it says 2 launchpads, 4 flash launches, all of our graphics. If it's a flash launch, it says flash launch. And we're going to be reworking the dashboard so that it's a lot more transparent and evident when something is a flash launch or not. So with that being said, I hope you guys understand. Let's dive into the questions now. So again, 140 some questions, and I'm gonna cruise through them as best as I can, and we'll see where we end up. Right on, guys. Let's dive in. And if someone can actually timestamp these, that would be fantastic. Or maybe I'll get someone internal to do it. That's better. What is the total income TrustSwap has earned from its various services? Can you give a general breakdown? So of course we're a private company, so we're not required to disclose this information. But I will disclose a little bit of our revenue. So since 2021, we've probably netted around, I think it's around 4 mil total so far, and our expenses are very, very negligible. So we're a real rare case in crypto. We're an incredibly profitable company. Again, in the first couple months, 4 mil revenue. How we work on our business model, our kind of cash cow right now is the Launchpads. Of course, we take 5% of the fee. So on $1 million raise, that's 50 grand, but of course that's not much. But what we do is we take 0.5% of the total supply of the tokens. So, when these projects really perform incredibly well, that's a significant amount of capital. If you look at any of the past projects we do, just take their total supply, times it by, 0.5%, and then by the price, and you'll see that what we're doing not so bad at all. So we're in a very strong position to be able to scale, to grow, and we actually have a very, very incredible scaling announcement, likely coming within, well, we'll just say within the next month. I'll give myself an extended timeline. But it's probably one of the more impressive acquisitions to ever hit the crypto space. Well, there's been a lot of impressive ones, but I think it's quite impressive. Right on, next question up. When is the Swap and Unistake pool announced? Okay, more than a month ago. So we're actually just waiting on the Unistake team. They've just been doing a couple things. Ball's in their court. Same with Connect Financial, the credit card. We've been doing everything we can. We're 100% ready to go. The ball's in their court. When exactly are the SPI buybacks occurring? Great question. So we actually are going, I was just chatting with Arbel, the founder of shopping.io the other day, and it's going to be spread out over a period of time because he's also a private company. So he doesn't want, because we earn 10% of all the profits of shopping.io. But he doesn't want people to know, what the profits of shopping.io are. That's fair. So it's going to be spread out over time. So it's not just going to be one big buyback. What news does TrustSwap have in April? Again, I just went through the roadmap. You can check it out on Twitter. We have our roadmap published there as well as in our announcement channel. Any new partnerships? If it's announced, that's what we have. There's always partnerships in our back pocket, but I'm not going to announce them before they happen. Why is TrustSwap better than the other launchpad? There's multiple other launchpads. I think our big value add is, on the flash launches and the lotteries, we're the most transparent out of all of them. We literally do the draws live. You see how all the things work. It's incredibly transparent. And then for the launchpads themselves that are guaranteed allocations, it doesn't really happen anywhere else. I think I really pride us on the transparency, the no gas wars. That's amazing. The 12-hour window, when does that happen? And then we don't make you guys go and retweet stuff. We'll do giveaways to encourage you to do it, but that's extra money. It's not a requirement. So I think I really do think TrustSwap. I mean, I'm biased because but I think it's the best one out there, and we're always improving and always taking your guys' feedback. So keep it coming. Will TrustSwap be a lending yield farming platform in the future? So again, we will have these farms where you can farm, the tokens minted on Smart Launch. You can farm the Launchpad projects. We'll probably even extend it so that people can essentially create their own pool if they want for additional exposure or just as a software service, because we'll already have it ready. So we'll have the farming thing going. In terms of lending and borrowing, that's our integration with Cream Finance. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. There's already great platforms out there doing lending and borrowing. And we have about 50% of the votes already on Cream Finance to be included in their lending and borrowing system. If someone, this wasn't included in the April roadmap that I just talked about, but this is something because it's not 100% sure yet. But lending and borrowing is going to be absolutely incredible because you're going to be able to increase your swap score by borrowing swap tokens. So someone can go in and they can lend swap tokens at, let's say a 10% APY, and maybe you can borrow swap tokens at, maybe it's going to be a lot less than 10% APR. It'll probably be around like 3 or 5. So, if you want to borrow $100,000 of swap tokens, it's going to cost you like $3,000 a year. You can increase your swap score, get higher allocations, and all the bonuses that come with that as well as just earning the rewards through the staking portal, which probably will even out the APR, especially if you're including the airdrops and you're trying to get into the top 1,000 swap scores. A lot of people say, this isn't fair because we worked really hard to get into our top 100 score. And, there's relevance here, but you can already lend and borrow cryptocurrency and borrow swap to get into these pools. So this technology already exists. So it's always been the same level playing field. Everyone's always had an opportunity to borrow and leverage their capital to acquire more swap, to put in the staking pool. This is essentially just reducing the friction. And again, as long as the playing field is equal for everybody, it's not a rich man's game or a poor man's game. It doesn't really matter. You're still just as capable of lending and borrowing. Of course, if you have more capital, you were able to just straight up purchase more swap than someone who doesn't have a lot of capital. So of course the world isn't equal, but there are equal opportunities. Both parties can stake, both parties can borrow, and it's up to them to decide what their level of comfort is. When is the next pre-launch? That is DCT DAO on the 26th. This might be one of the best performing launchpads that we have. I've seen a lot of interest for this one, so that is good. I'm just going to go through the questions that I think are a little bit silly. Why has the price crashed? Who is selling? So, of course, if you look at any stock, any asset, any cryptocurrency, any commodity, the price always goes up, it always goes down. That's the way that the market works. We just went from 50 cents to $5. That's a 10x. I think that happened within about a month and a half. And so, naturally, the market just needs to find its equilibrium. So, who is selling? Probably someone who owns swap and just, was ready to get out. So that's all I can say on that matter. It's just the nature of the market. I staked my coins for guaranteed allocations, but I have seen the last 2 projects there were not any guaranteed allocations. Are we keeping guaranteed allocations or are we going away from those? So again, here's the confusion that happens between Launchpads and flash launches. We still have the 1 to 2 guaranteed allocations every single month. And then we have additional flash launches on top. Why do we have projects with low quality for Launchpads compared with flash launch? So, well, number one, I would definitely encourage you to check out our previous Launchpads and their performance over time. It takes time for projects to heat up a lot of times. Not everything's going to explode right out of the gate. So give it a little patience. Quality is definitely subjective. I do hear where you're coming from though. Like I can't just turn a blind eye to, potentially what you guys are seeing, but do give it time. And I think the reason why, the flash launches generally come to us as the last piece of their puzzle. They've already got a ton of venture capital backing. They're already fully funded. They're an incredible project with an amazing team. They just want that little last pop into the community, to the broad crypto space and marketability. And so that's what flash launches are. They've already raised most of their capital. They're just coming to TrustSwap for that additional marketing push. Whereas with the Launchpads, they're more of an early stage and they're looking for a larger raise. And so, we help them market that. So it's just projects at different stages and different backings, and they have different reasons for different amounts being raised. So again, nobody is twisting anybody's arm to participate, but also if you check the colors on Launchpads and flash launches, they're all green. The average is over 10x now. So that's pretty good. Somebody posted a chart. Let me try to pull this thing up real quick. One moment. It was, if you had participated at the base level of every Launchpad, you would have invested just under $20,000 and you would currently have $575,000. The average ROI is actually 1,300%. That is a 13x on Launchpads. So I wouldn't necessarily agree with the statement that low quality projects go for Launchpads. I think you just need a little bit of patience. Two things. Price of swap, concerning. Don't be concerned about it. Zoom out a little bit. Projects, current ones suck, and you know it, Jeff. And so I just want you guys to try to, I get messages like this all the time. People just shit on me every single day with messages like this. Anyways, so it's at times tough to, keep a smiley face and breeze through it. But anyways, here's one. Actually, this ties directly into it. Why did you recently just ban a lot of members from the chat? Some critical questions from the chat. You know what? People, I believe, have just been poking a little bit too much. The price goes down and everyone's up in arms and everyone's being just complete doom and gloom and really bringing the vibe down. It's a Telegram room of 11,000 members. It only takes really 1, 2, or 3 people to completely decimate the energy and the momentum and the sentiment in that room with negative emotions. I know a lot of these people think that they're being critical, but I think they really need to reanalyze the way that they're wording things, because it's very, very, very negatively poised and unconstructive. Come to us with, good ideas. Like, for example, projects, current ones suck, and you know it, Jeff. That, unfortunately, is probably going to be a ban from one of the moderators. That is not constructive. You're not helping the ecosystem. And quite frankly, we're better off without you. We have 11,000 people, and we don't want that energy in the room. So we're going to take you to the Telegram room. So if you want to stay in, but you're negative, maybe just be quiet and observe. Because you will get tossed. And, some people can say, oh, that's centralization. Well, that's fine. Our Telegram room is centralized and we're going to maintain it as such so that we can maintain a certain standard of quality. If the entire world was just total... here's a great saying. You can have freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequence. Because if the entire world had freedom of speech and was just running around, racial slurs, derogatory words to everybody, but had no consequences for that, the world would be crazy. You say something racist, you're going to get punched in the face. So if you say something that's out of line with what we're trying to achieve in the TrustSwap community, which is bolster a positive community sentiment, and have a constructive conversation, you can be critical and be constructive, but just don't be... I won't say the explicitives here, but just be constructive, because we're going to hit the ban. We are hitting the ban a lot more. I'll be very transparent about that. Do you think the unpopular flash launches are partly responsible for the recent drop in swap price? I'd have to say yes. So here's, I wouldn't say that they're unpopular at all. Just, I don't know where you're getting those stats from. And recent drop, I would say zoom out. When are better projects launching on TrustSwap again? The other ones after Soda were not that great. I would debate that. If you're talking about Launchpads, again, they are in the green, and we have 2 more coming in April. When public launch of TrustSwap services on other chains, so I mentioned this, we have Binance, Smartchain, and Avalanche both coming this month. Actually, within the next 7 days, I think. Yep. What is the bear market strategy? We are immensely adaptable and diverse. We just don't do Launchpads. Launchpads are like a little fraction of what you see, and it just so happens that the people who like Launchpads happen to be the noisiest and the just most chaotic. So it seems like that's all TrustSwap is doing. But of course, we have Smart Launch coming up. We got Swappable coming up. And I think these things are both going to be massive. And then this acquisition that we're working on, I think is going to blow your guys' minds. And as you guys see, we're making partnerships all over the place. We have, shopping.io, 10% of profits coming to TrustSwap holders. We have, oh my God, what is the name? I'm forgetting the name. No, this is terrible. Unimex. There we are, Unimex. They distribute 6.5% of fees to TrustSwap stakers. So we got a lot of stuff. We got very bear market resilient, and we're always adaptable. If you guys have known us from the start, we started as an escrow company. It's like, hey, if you want to do an escrow trade, come use TrustSwap. When I started TrustSwap, I honestly thought, I'm like, man, this probably just gonna be like, $1 million market cap max. It's nothing special. It's just like this simple trade. And we've just been adapting, guys. We see opportunities, we jump on them. We see where the trends are, we jump on them. And right now, when we started the company, we're going really wide, but now we're going really deep, and we're really focusing in and getting really strong in our verticals. And I'm very pleased about that. When are we migrating to another chain? So because they say, paid more for gas than for TrustSwap tokens. That happens. So we're on QuickSwap. So you can buy swap tokens on QuickSwap. It's pretty much feeless. And we'll probably be introducing swap tokens on other chains shortly after, probably in like a month or so. What is the main reason why a project should launch an IDO at Swap instead of Polkastarter? So yeah, that's very, it's a great question. I think all the different launchpads offer something a little bit unique. Some launchpads are a little bit more hands-on. Some launchpads offer more transparency. Some launchpads, like are more community-centric. We really offer like a white glove service. People come to us. We're probably one of the lower fees out there, and we just really hold the hand. We ensure best practices. It's a really smooth launch for all these projects. So, I encourage projects to shop around for different launchpads. And what we've seen is more likely than not, they come back to TrustSwap. Like the percentage is probably like 80%. If they're in contact with TrustSwap, they're going to use TrustSwap. So that's been very nice to see. As soon as we get in contact with these guys, the I guess you could say conversion rate is near 100%. I think there's only been that we've lost to another launchpad where we've been talking with them. I think it's been like 2 since we started. So it's been pretty good. Really, really good. Okay, most beautiful part of TrustSwap is guaranteed allocations. However, off late, we have seen a number of projects in guaranteed allocations going down. The bigger concern is the quality of projects we're getting on the platform for launch. Can we do something to improve the quality of the projects on the Launchpad? Right, so I'll just say, it's always going to be 1 to 2 a month, as I mentioned, Launchpads. And just stick around for April. I think you're going to be very happy with what April has for Launchpads. Yeah, there's some good ones coming out. I'm quite excited about them. How many Launchpads? We want more Launchpads. All right. Launchpads, like I say, they're the exciting part right now, and I got to talk about them. As much as I don't want to talk about them, because I'm really more excited about, I think, the sustainable aspects of TrustSwap, like Smart Launch, like Swappable, like the OTC trades. Launchpads are bull market things. In the bear market, Launchpads might not really be around, guys, or at least not in high of frequency. So that's why I'm not as excited about them, because I have a little bit more longer term vision mindset. TrustSwap isn't aiming just to be this project that kind of like rises and falls. No. We're here. I've mentioned top 50 projects multiple times by the end of 2021. It's happening, guys. It's happening. That's exactly what we're aiming for. So, the bear market could hit before then. So we want to be able to continue to rise the ranks when the bear market hits. And that's what we're setting ourselves up for. And you guys are going to be very happy in the coming months with the developments and acquisitions that we have rolling out. How about the Polkadot ecosystem? How will TrustSwap compete? Now, Polkastarter is doing so well. I know you talk something about you have hired a substrate developer. Can you talk about this? Right. So, it's not TrustSwap in competition with Polkadot. I'd say TrustSwap is in competition with Polkastarter, the Launchpad platform. I would say Polkadot and Ethereum are the competitors. Of course, TrustSwap is built on Ethereum. But we're also migrating over to Polkadot. Polkadot isn't necessarily on our #1 hit list right now, just because it's really, what's used on Polkadot? It's not ready. So we're focusing on chains that are actually ready. Binance Smartchain, Avalanche, Algorand, other chains like this. when Polkadot's ready, we'll be hopping on there as well. Like I mentioned, we're going cross-chain, guys. We're going across all realistically solid blockchains because there's no reason not to. Okay. Mint staking. Awesome. Like talking about this. What will this look like when it's launched? Will we be able to allocate our existing swap to stake to a mint staking pool, or will we automatically have our existing stake included in the minting pool? So again, to reiterate, it will be new swap that you have to stake into those new farming pools, because it's not like there's one big mint pool that, you know, farms you 1,000 tokens at once. Your wallet would be a disaster full of just like really small portions of coins. So you need to select the token that you like, farm that one, and then your stake will give you a bonus. It'll give you a bonus multiplier. That probably will not come out in phase 1, the bonus multiplier, but it will come out in phase 2. Can TrustSwap holders expect swap tokens to be listed on tier 1 exchange in the future? In case it's not part of the play, then what would be the reason? Yes, you can definitely expect that. As you guys can see, go to CoinGecko/markets. Right now, even though we've listed on a ton of tier 2, like high tier 2 exchanges, Gate.io, Poloniex, there's literally no liquidity on them. You make a $5,000 purchase and the price goes up or goes down like 8%. Whereas on Uniswap, you know, a decentralized exchange, that's where the real girth is. So if the problem then is fees on Uniswap, we'll go use QuickSwap. So we feel really solid right now in where we have our exchanges, but we definitely are pushing for some tier 1 exchanges. And I just say stay tuned. Stay tuned on those. What do you think? Okay, here we go. What do you think of a possible guaranteed allocation tier for flash launches? For example, at 20 to 30K swap score, perhaps it'd be conditional if the project is raising between 500 and 750K. That's a good suggestion. I would probably raise the swap score amount, like, because a lot of people have over 20 to 30K swap score. But the problem with it is that we're already too complex. You know, we have launchpads, we have flash launches, we have swap scores. And to be quite honest, people don't even read anything. They don't read Medium articles. They're like, hey, like I put some money into this project and I've only got 20% of my coins. Why? And it's like, well, did you read the post? Because there's a vesting period. And they're like, oh no, I didn't read. I just went in. So, and that's very, very, very common. If you guys spend any time in the Telegram rooms, you'll see that people don't like to read. They love to ask questions, but they don't like to read. So adding more layers of complexity isn't necessarily the right way to go about things. So although there are a lot of very creative things that we can do, like this suggestion, which I actually quite like, by the way, I think it adds too much complexity to the system. We just want to keep it so simple. I want to be able to explain it to people within like 30 seconds flat, and we can currently do that with our system. So I don't want to make it more long-winded. If you want a guaranteed allocation, we have golden tickets, and 10% of those golden tickets go to the Eden Reforestation program. That's cool. Okay. Crypto space has been super competitive lately. Almost new features launched are copied immediately by other projects. Launchpad is best example, and tons of if I'm speaking with not correct English, I'm just reading verbatim, you know, what these questions are saying. So bear with me here. It's not me. Launchpad is the best example, and tons of launchpads are announced almost on a weekly basis. Do you think TrustSwap, oh man, this is the long one. Do you think TrustSwap launchpads will be able to capture the high tier projects in the short to midterm? When this launchpad bubble ends, which feature of TrustSwap do you think will be the flagship feature of TrustSwap that will put them in the front lines? Okay, this is actually quite a robust and solid question. I fully agree. Launchpads are insanely competitive right now. Luckily, I would say nearly undisputably, we're either the first or second ranked launchpad out there. You know, if you do a vote, you know, we're going to rank number 1 or number 2. And I think Altcoin Buzz recently did a vote, and we were ranked number 1 by a significant margin. I think we almost had double the votes as Polkastarter. So that's nice. So, you know, arguably number 1 by votes, and arguably number 1 by features as well. So for sure. And just like Uniswap, you know, anybody can copy Uniswap and relaunch a new Uniswap. Doesn't mean it's going to perform well. Of course, SushiSwap has done well, but you know, there's thousands of Uniswap, well, not dozens of Uniswap clones out there, but doesn't mean that they're going to perform. A lot of it has to do with brand recognition, trust, transparency, systems, processes, teams, community, and we're really crushing it in that regard. So I'm very excited about that. Do you expect that Trustwop will be able to capture the high tier projects? Yeah, we have just as good of a shot as anyone else. We have a team of 6 scouts. 6 people are literally dedicated to searching and finding projects, reaching out to them, pitching to them, and essentially locking them in. So we have a very good shot of getting the good projects. When the Launchpad bubble ends, what feature do you think Trustwop will be at the front, the flagship? Yeah, it's tough to say. Things move quickly. It's not just like the bubble happens or pops and then everything's dead. Things move even as the bubble is crashing. But as I mentioned before, I'm really excited about Smart Launch. I think this is actually a huge play. And moving cross-chain. We recently onboarded a new chief operating officer, Ivan A. And this guy, I really like his mentality about things. And he's brought a mentality to the team that we've been pursuing aggressively, and it's, I think, really, really, really working and going to work further. And that is cross-pollinating with other communities, no matter what they are. If it's Cream Finance, if it's other blockchains, and just proliferating TrustSwap across everywhere. And so I'm really excited for that, to just, of course, bear markets happen, and in a bear market, TrustSwap will likely also consolidate as well. It's not like we can just be like, no bear market for us. Everyone takes a hit. Like when the S&P 500 falls, all stocks fall in unison. Last time all crypto falls in unison as well. But it's, who can remain the most resilient, the most sustainable, not just from a tokenomic perspective, but also from a business perspective. And we're really solid financially, guys, even going into a bear market. So feel really good about that. So the flagship, again, Smart Launch, but to kind of get back to the point about Ivan A, it's partnering up and pushing our software across to all these different blockchains. So even though things are potentially quieter because it's a bear market or less transactions, less activity, we're going to continue to expand out across the entire crypto ecosystem. And when I say entire, I really mean that. And then when the next wave comes, off we go. We have our framework and our foundation established literally across the entire crypto space. So top 50, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's do it. Can you talk more about the new Avalanche deal? What is that all about? What are you thinking about it? How will it help TrustSwap? Again, very similar to with what we're doing with Binance. So we're the team finance, token locks, liquidity locks. Boom. Any project on Avalanche can now do that. And then in the near future, Smart Launch. Anyone is going to be able to mint a token for free, instantly, no dev fees, no audit fees. Boom, you're saving yourselves $20,000, $30,000 at least, and at probably about a month of work and waiting. It's just instant, but it's on Avalanche, and the Avalanche team is super stoked to be working with us because we're essentially bringing them, a flood of new projects. All these blockchains right now, their main thing is they just don't have utility, they don't have projects. And that's where I see TrustSwap being positioned the strongest, is we come to these projects, whether it's Binance, Smartchain, or Avalanche, we say, hey, listen, we have software that can literally explode the utility and usage of your chain instantly. It's a real good pitch, and they're very keen to partner up with us and create synergies. Shall we expect to have major partnership with major NFT projects in the market specifically after launching Swappable? Nothing worth announcing yet. Of course, we have a lot of things in our back pocket. We have not started building out the partnership pipeline for Swappable yet. We're going to launch first, kind of find our own way, which I feel we're going to do a very, very, very good job of, and then start to make partnerships rather than kind of jumping the gun on it. We have a lot of great partnerships in terms of auctions that we're going to be launching, but in terms of like, oh, hey, UNFT, like, it's hard to create partnerships with competitors before your product is even launched. It's a little bit of a gray area. We just haven't been focusing on that right now in transparency. Okay, I complained after the first project launch is on the Launchpad because the time window is very short, and in my time zone it happens in the middle of the night. But I must say you really stepped up and improved this process a lot now that TrustSwap is my favorite Launchpad platform. Good job. Keep innovating and maintain the value of the swap token. Awesome. Thank you for that. Started off a little questionable, but it finished off strong. But yeah, obviously it's a 12-hour application window, so I don't know how long you sleep for, but you should be able to get in as long as you're not a bear hibernating through the winter. Any news about Mint? That's coming in April. That's smart launch. When will Mint function be launched? I like these questions, guys. Keep them coming about Mint. You guys are on the right track. April. Subscription model. This, yes, has been postponed a little bit. I know this was one of the things that were like subscriptions. This was kind of like that was our flagship at the inception of TrustSwap, and we've just been kind of pivoting around and finding our own way through kind of what's been relevant in the time. Once Swappable has been completed, that frees up a dev team of about 5 to 6 developers, and some of those are going to be going directly onto the subscriptions. So you could expect to see work on subscriptions start by mid-April, tentatively. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited for that one, but it just hasn't been in the forefront of my mind so much. It's been such a back burner thing because we kept being like, oh yeah, subscriptions will happen after Swappable, and in my mind, Swappable was always such a quick thing, but it's really it's taken a long time to build. But putting follow and like on certain posts as a requisite to participate in a launchpad would be great. More engagement, more followers, and also for the project's Twitter. You know what? I'm not a fan of fake metrics, and you know it when you see it. You know, some of these projects have 90,000 Telegram members and 50,000 Twitter followers. Who cares? I mean, if it almost feels like dishonest. That to me feels dishonest because they're not organic, they're not real. It's just a bunch of bounty hunters, doing various things. We'd rather just people organically do it, build an actual organic community and encourage people through contests to, like or follow or whatever. But I'm not the biggest fan of those like viral things. It attracts, in my opinion, it attracts the wrong crowd. It attracts the when airdrop crowd, the when moon crowd, the when Binance crowd. So I think methodical is actually the right way to go about things. Methodical in that sense, not doing these, bounty campaigns for pennies, but certainly not methodical in any other way. In every other way, you guys know it. We go 110 miles an hour. Have you considered asking companies launching through TrustSwap to provide a small set of promo materials, key features, roadmaps, memes, as appropriate, which swappies can distribute via Twitter, email, social medias, and so on if they want to? That's a good idea, actually. Just trying to, I'm going to write that down. Number 40. This is question number 42 on the list. Yeah, we'll have to just kind of figure out the logistics of that to make it really seamless. Like, where are those going to live? Yada, yada. Anyways, I'll figure that one out. Like that idea. Many different blockchains are mentioned as alternatives for TrustSwap cross-chain abilities. Have you ever considered to check Solana as an option? Yes, actually. Yeah, that is definitely one of our options. When will you mine your own altcoins? So this is from Mint, I'm assuming. We are excitedly waiting for your derivatives tokens. What is your work for your derivatives tokens? Sorry, I actually don't understand this question. Could you explain what is meant by Polkadot in the roadmap? Does this mean you'll be doing pre-sales for Polkadot projects and compete with Polkastarter? So already, this is probably a big misconception, guys. We already do cross-chain launchpads. We did one for Stellar in like month 2. We can launch Binance Smartchain. We can launch Polkadot. We can launch Cardano. We can launch Solana. We can launch anybody because it's not on-chain. So the project collects the funds. The project distributes the tokens. So we're pretty much 100% hands-off. So we're already cross-chained for Launchpads. That's probably a huge misconception. We could do literally any blockchain. But by Polkadot in the roadmap, we just mean that TrustSwap's services, token locks, liquidity locks, smart launch, and then, as mentioned, potentially in the future, smart subscriptions, those will be on Polkadot. I know that it's a very difficult task, but it would be great if you could integrate KYC service. Oh, this is a big question. One sec. Sorry, guys. Into the TrustSwap Launchpad. I'm going to break this down, actually, just kind of bit by bit. So we already have KYC. It's a big, long question. We already have BlockPass. So BlockPass, everyone's like, oh, I hate BlockPass. That's because we sent everyone to BlockPass at once and just crashed their servers. But you can actually use BlockPass. It's actually a really nice system when it's just not overloaded with people. And here's a fun fact. The time that BlockPass crashed, the particular project didn't buy the enterprise account. They bought a standard account. So it actually wasn't BlockPass's fault. So there's a little fun fact for you guys. So BlockPass is actually great. And so we have that. People were always saying, hey, I don't want to keep doing KYC over and over and over again. Can we find a third-party provider? We found it. It works great. And for people who don't want to use it, you can still manually upload your KYC. So it's the best of both worlds for everyone. BlockPass is fantastic. Then he just kind of reiterates his question a few times, and that's kind of it. Okay, what's the proposal for lending and borrowing swap? Talked about that already. Suggesting to expand the swap airdrop requirements to top 1.5 or 2K swap scores. Maybe lower airdrops for top 2K swap scores. What's your take on that? So here's the question. Why don't we just expand? Why doesn't everybody staked get the airdrop? Why don't we airdrop to 11,000 people? And the answer is, well, if we did that, the airdrop value would probably be worth like $5. So that the gas fee to get it out and the gas fee to sell or trade or whatever, or hold or move around, it's more than it's worth. So that doesn't make any sense. So there has to be a cutoff point. And where is that cutoff point? That's the question. So what we've decided internally is we want that cutoff point to be $100 of value at pre-sale price, and approximately. And so that's what we work with. So that's why it works out to be around 1,000, top 1,000. Where do you see TrustSwap's market share going, and what are your thoughts to gain more adoption of TrustSwap, and how far away are we from a supply shortage of TrustSwap? Okay, so market share, I mentioned about this, what our goals are. We are going to scale aggressively, and we're continuing to do so. What are your plans to gain more adoption? As mentioned, we are going cross-chain in a huge way. And I think with Smart Launch, it's going to become pretty much like, why would somebody not use Smart Launch? You're getting a fully customizable token for free, fully audited. It's just, and fully secure. It just makes sense to use it. It's like a gold standard of security. It's financially intelligent, and it's intelligent in terms of timelines. It's a beautiful thing. And so I think everyone's going to use it, or at least a large majority, and it will continue to gain more and more and more traction, especially as it's across multiple blockchains. And we have this beautiful interface that says, here are the projects who've used Smart Launch. Here's how much they've locked. Here's all the metrics. It'll be this really beautiful interface, guys. I'm really excited about that. Okay, let me see. We got about 35 minutes left. Ish. Please tell us if and when Swap, its hosted project tokens, will be moved to a layer 2 or an alternative blockchain. We're on QuickSwap and on Matic, and we're working on Matic staking right now. Okay. This isn't your responsibility, and I know everyone does what they can to warn users, but is there any mechanism available in your Telegram channels to get people to have to read to agree not to give their seed praise, private keys to scammers? Oh man, before they can join. I know it's basic and should be obvious, but people are still getting caught out, and it's he says it's heartbreaking to see it keep happening. I fully agree. It's like, and this is a tough thing because, you want, for example, like when you buy a telephone, does the phone company say, don't give your credit card information to people who ask for it? Or, when you get a credit card, they don't say that. There's a lot of things in the world that it's like, well, you need to know what to do and what not to do before you enter a space. And for example, like let's say, you buy your new Apple iPhone, it's this beautiful, sleek, white box with the iPhone on it, but it's covered in this big plastic red wrapping, and it says, do not give your credit card information, do not share your iPhone password, do not share your Gmail password, like don't do this. People will be contacting you through phone. They'll be knocking door to door. It's like, you can't give out all the disclaimers front and center, because at some point it just completely kills, the brand, the look and feel, the user experience. That being said, there is relevance to a little intro message. I'm going to write this down, guys. I agree to an extent. If we can keep it short and sweet on the intro message, Like I know we have like that little intro thing. It's like, hey, enter the math equation to prove you're not a bot. And then if there's a quick little message that kind of gives a quick rundown, I like that actually. It's a quick rundown, and it also includes, just kind of like the quick 411, a little disclaimer at the bottom. We'll do that. We will do that. Thank you for that. It's been on my mind for a bit. And I always had that first mentality, but talking it out helps. What's the criteria to add a project to the Launchpad? It's super, 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 super subjective, guys. So I won't go over that completely right now. Can live stream lotteries involve a bikini baristas? We actually joked about this for like a few minutes on the team call. Well, I don't know. We might do some kind of funny. We probably won't do some kind of bikini thing just because it's a little bit misogynistic. But we'll have something fun going on. Can you get big man Tyrone to make a video about TrustSwap? I don't even know who that is, but it sounds like something that you'd watch in incognito mode. That's all I'll say. But if he's an actual crypto YouTuber, feel free to connect me. Why is the price of swap bleeding too much? Is it because people are losing confidence? Just zoom out, my man. Look at a 3-month time frame. Look at a 9-month time frame. Our pre-sale was at half a penny. We're less than a year that our company has started. Less than a year, guys. And we're doing well. We're doing really well. Why USA citizens can't participate in TrustWop Launchpads? It's for regulatory reasons imposed by the USA. A lot of people are going to say that these blah, 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 they don't exist, da, da, da. If we could do it, we would. Even though we exclude the USA from staking and Launchpads, the USA is still our number one demographic on TrustSwap.org. So we really want to include the USA. We would love to, but we can't. We're not going to take the regulatory risk. I'm not going to go more into detail about what that risk is. Well, actually, I can maybe say this. As soon as we start involving US persons with TrustSwap, then it kind of opens this door for US regulators to kind of like get at us. So we're not going to open that door. Why yield requires KYC to participate in the airdrop? So this is a great follow-up question to what I just talked about. Yield is doing it the exact same reason TrustSwap is. So this isn't just a TrustSwap thing. This is an industry-wide thing for companies who are being compliant. And lots of people debate that fact, but it's just because one company does XYZ doesn't mean that it's in full compliance. Crypto is full of gray areas, and this is one of those gray areas that we're going to stay on the white side of. And so yield requires KYC because they don't want to distribute tokens to US persons because that could be seen as a dividend, could be seen as whatever. So dividend is, anyways, I won't go too deep into that. I don't want to overstep my expertise. Why projects listed lately on the Launchpad are going down in quality? So I've talked about this a little bit already. I've actually talked about this a lot. You got to look at the long-term performance of these projects. Look at all the previous Launchpads. Some of them take a little bit of time to warm up. It's like, I don't know what people expect. This project launches and it's like instantly valued at $1 bajillion. It's like, no, it's still a startup. It's still like less than 3 weeks old. Give it some time, guys. Come on. Let it do its thing. Like they went to the Launchpad for some marketing and so that they could also, raise capital. And that means that's the beginning, like the first day of them starting their journey generally. So it's like, why hasn't this project become $500 million? It's like, dude, it's day 3, like relax. So anyways, we are obviously always work for high quality projects, but yeah. And just check out 13 on average 13x for Launchpads. So that's including the 2 most recent ones. So just a little bit of patience, guys, a little bit of perspective would be fantastic. A couple of duplicate questions. Here's one. You know what? I'll talk about this one. This one's funny. Can you unblock me on Twitter? If you say ridiculous stuff, if you're being a fudder, if you're just being negative Nancy and not providing constructive criticism, I'm blocking you on Twitter. You're getting blocked in the TrustSwap Twitter, and you're getting banned from the Telegram group. It is what it is. We don't have time for that. So just think twice before you speak. This isn't babysitter class, guys. Like, you're going to get banned. Again, freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences. So say what you want, but yeah, just don't complain once it happens. How big could crypto subscriptions be in dollar terms? Yeah, I mean, the scalability is infinite. You know, you look at something like subscriptions for YouTube or Spotify, paying with crypto. You know, there is the potential for that. So let's see what happens. What will happen when the main staking pool is filled? What kind of bonuses will stakers get besides launchpad entries? Well, so that's kind of two separate questions. I'll break them down. When the staking pool is filled, it's filled. And nobody else is getting in unless somebody unstakes. So it's good to get in now, because if you want to increase your swap score to be in the top 1,000, or you want to increase your swap score to get a higher allocation, now's the time. Once it's full, good luck. We've talked about creating stakes into NFTs. That's technically complex for the staking pool already, because anyways, long story short, that might not be possible with the stakes that are currently in there. So once the staking pool is full, it's full. We will then have the mint pools, so where you can farm the tokens. So that's additional ways that reasons why people would want to purchase and stake swap, take it out of circulation. And then in addition, we are very likely going to be firing up a secondary staking pool that does not provide any swap rewards and does not increase swap score and does not give guaranteed allocations. It'll be a staking pool that will help get allocations, and I won't reveal any more information than that, because what we do not want to do is disincentivize or disenfranchise the early, the people who are early and able to get in on the main staking portal. But of course, we want to be able to have the door open for new people who want to continually join, because of course that helps the project as the whole, that helps the token economics. So I hope that people can zoom out a little bit as we do introduce this second pool, which will have severely limited functions in comparison to the first pool, that it's not necessarily like, oh, you know, you said once it's full, now you've introduced the second one. We've been talking about the second pool for a while, and it's a huge addition to the ecosystem, because as people mentioned, they said, well, what happens once the staking pool is full? You know, why would people buy swap anymore? And although, of course, we have the mint pools and things like that where people can allocate funds to, and most crypto projects don't even have staking pools, so people just hold the tokens for the utility of it. We're going to introduce this secondary pool, and it's not going to disenfranchise those in the main staking pool. So I can say we're going to be very fair to the existing stakers, while simultaneously opening the door for new participation in the TrustSwap ecosystem. What are the plans for when the so-called alt season is over? Talked about this one. Any plans for a TrustSwap Visa or MasterCard? Yes. You can actually Google TrustSwap Connect Financial. We already have a partnership with a Visa credit card. It's the only Visa credit card in the world. There are crypto debit cards. There are no crypto credit cards to this level. We're waiting on them to finalize a few things, but that is definitely coming. Why don't you partner with Polkastarter or DuckDAO and bring us higher quality and better performing projects? The last one, besides performance, weren't that high quality. So you guys can see, about 1 in 10 questions is your projects suck. It's essentially what the comments are. So I would encourage everybody to just gain a little bit of perspective, check out the performance. And in terms of partnering with Polkastarter and DuckDAO, we did do a little partnership with DuckDAO back in the day, but we realized that we were going to do it because we're going to cross-pollinate projects, as this guy is suggesting. But the problem is, or maybe not the problem, but just the situation is that we really didn't need to cross-pollinate, because we're so solid in what we're doing. They're solid in what they're doing. So, and we don't want to, if we have a really solid project that's doing a $1.2 million raise, we don't necessarily want to give that up. Maybe we'll do to these smaller launch pads, like we've been partnering up with Falcon Pool, we've been partnering up with CyberFi, we've been partnering up with Dex Tools, Dex Force Ventures, and those are smaller allocations, so we're happy to throw, $50K, that's fine. But, Polkastarter, DuckDAO, those are larger tickets. Polkastarter does smaller tickets, but I would say that, we're in a little bit of a competition with them. I kind of want to beat those guys. DuckDAO I'm more friendly with. Just gonna scroll through a little bit here. Okay, here's a good one, maybe. I'm planning to unstake my tokens because old stakers are now disadvantaged and can't get allocations in any future projects. Can you resolve that? So I hear a lot of comments that are just really scratch my head as to I'm trying to understand the mentality here. especially if you're an old staker. How are you disadvantaged in future projects? Is it because of Launchpads? Is it because we've given an additional opportunity on top of flash launches on top of Launchpads? Because that's an addition. Again, Launchpads still exist, 1 to 2 a month, as always. So nobody's disadvantaged, and it doesn't really matter if you're an old or a new staker. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy when people who don't understand this ecosystem or that don't take the time to understand the ecosystem are just like these like frantic people who always criticize, and just I really enjoy seeing like these big red candles of people like mass fear exiting, because it just makes the community stronger. We're growing a really strong base. We're seeing more and more of the same faces around where everyone's really helpful, or like that base is becoming increasingly helpful. A lot of them have been onboarded as moderators, and I'm a big fan of growing the base. If you look at like, let's say the token ecosystem, like it goes up and down and up and down and up and down, but over time it's just like steady line. So the baseline, that's what I like to build. The tops, whatever, build that baseline. How do you stand out against the biggest player, Binance Smartchain? What makes you different? Why should a company build along Swap and not the big B? Well, again, we are partnering with Binance Smartchain, so we're not a competitor. We're actually integrated with them. Does your Launchpad support BSC? Yes, we do. We've always supported every single blockchain directly from day one. Okay, good. Launchpad guaranteed versus flash launch lottery. So you guys can see, this is a little bit offbeat AMA. I'm just actually going to go through the questions as they come, even if they're a little bit duplicated, because it seems like things need to be reiterated a bit. Concerned that Launchpads will get fewer, lower quality offerings now that flash launch is available. With respect, I didn't spend $54,000 on Swap to buy lottery tickets. So again, I don't know who's spending $54,000 and then not reading the Medium posts, guys. It's or the announcements, or the what we've been saying, and here it is, 1 to 2 Launchpads a month. Flash launches are extra. Of course, that may very well change if a bear market hits. We may do less, but as of right now, that's the pace. So the Launchpads won't get fewer unless a major bear market hits, and then flash launches are a bonus. Okay. Here's an area of improvement you guys should consider: having a common KYC provider for all your projects. We do. It's BlockPass. So sign up for BlockPass and you're going to be good to go. Just an idea, and maybe not something that needs to be talked about. I just think it would be nice to have some step-by-step. Okay, that's a big question. Swap step-by-step YouTube videos for people new and old that are not tech savvy, for like receiving yeah. So kind of like educational tutorials. This has been on the list for a little bit. I need to prioritize this. We just hired 2 new copywriters. So we're going to be able to build these out. And I'm going to actually just, let's hire on a few video guys too. So that just inspired me. We'll have a bunch of, I've always wanted to create like a bunch of tutorials, like how to stake, how to do this, how to do that, but just like really clean, really nice, really smooth. So we're going to be doing that. Thank you for that nudge. Please take a look for possibility to add a feature which lets you transfer stake swap to another address without losing swap score. That's actually impossible, as meant. It's just the way smart contracts work. Yeah, well, not impossible, but let's just say it's not something we're looking at right now. What if the 50 million token stake is maxed out and current stakers want to add more? They can't. Would the additional swap stake be on a waiting list? What happens? Thanks. No. So it'll be like essentially the system as it is right now, and we're going to work to build this out. It's not our first priority to kind of build out this system, but so like phase 1 is once it's full, and let's say somebody unstakes 1,000 swap, well, the first person in gets that seat. So you got to be fast to get in. Then, as mentioned, in the future, we're exploring other options like NFTs or transferring stakes or whatever it may be, but it's technically complex because the staking portal is already set and there's the smart contracts already locked in. So moving that around is not quite as easy as it may seem. Of course, I'm not a dev, but this is what I understand. What about now? Chain Game's doing so well. Price rise. Will Adam still focus 100% on TrustSwap, or is he leaving? And will we need to find a new guy? He's a big part of TrustSwap. Yeah, so Adam, of course, as you guys know, our CTO. And Chain Games is definitely his baby. He spends a ton of time on chain games. And that being said, that's why we've scaled out our dev team. We have a team of about like 17 developers right now. Adam manages a team of 6 developers that work on TrustSwap. And so he just oversees them. And, kind of how it's structured is we have like an Adam team, we have the team finance team, then we have a freelance team. And then we have our new technical project manager, Ivan Reef, and he's kind of oversees all 3 of those and organizes them. So in a way, Adam isn't necessarily like super time intensive. He definitely manages his team and makes sure everything's going well. It takes part in team meetings and like helps with the long-term vision. And like some really great partnerships and connections. He's a great guy. A huge asset on the TrustSwap crew. But yeah, we've been able, because Adam is busy, of course, we've scaled up our team to not compensate for that's not the right word, but we've scaled up our team so that doesn't become an issue. Again, flash launches. Here's another one. I agree that guaranteed allocations cannot be offered due to small cap, but lottery is not fairest option. Are you preparing / have in mind any possible solution for flash launches? No. So, because the only alternative is that it's guaranteed allocation. And then who do you give the guaranteed allocation to? If it's not a lottery, who are you giving it to? The largest swap score? The people like a first come, first serve? Both of those, one is, it's just for the whales. And the other one, it's not nice. No one likes first come, first serve. So no, we're going to keep flash launches as lottery plus the golden tickets. Why was the real-time information about staking rewards removed from the Discord channel Swap Bots, and why do the numbers there always differ by several million? Oh, by the ones in the dashboard. Would be happy to have some transparency on that. So this guy's talking about 2 different things. So first of all, staking, real-time information about staking. So I'm not sure why that was removed from Discord Swap Bots channel, actually. I thought you were talking about staking rewards at first. Why the number differs between Etherscan and the dashboard, and maybe on Discord as well. Discord might have been pulling from Etherscan. I'm actually not 100% sure. But the dashboard is, let's say somebody unstakes. That unstake is now essentially like accounted for in the dashboard. It's not accounted for in Etherscan because they're still in the smart contract until they actually withdraw. So the accurate number is actually the one in the dashboard. So Etherscan, not accurate. It's kind of like how many are in there total that are also in the process of being unstaked. So if you want to know how many are in the process of being unstaked, just go Etherscan minus dashboard equals number of tokens being unstaked. And then in regards to, the Discord, that just might be because it was pulling it from Etherscan, and it is what it is. Can we get the option to auto stake our staking rewards, please? We can look into that. I'm a recent TrustSwap staker and paid over $18,000 to get 4,000 swap. Why has the quality of launches gone down so much? You guys notice a trend? Can we please find some more quality projects which would benefit the stakers? I was banned from Telegram group from raising this concern without even a warning. That's sad. Yeah. I'm sure it wasn't. I mean, this question was posed actually very fairly. Might have not been posed very fairly in the Telegram room. Long story short, again, as I've mentioned a few times, I do not believe the quality of launches has gone down. You just need a little bit of patience, because when a project launches, that doesn't mean that it's like, it's still a day 2 startup. And quality is subjective. You look at a project, whether it's Bitcoin Vendor, Bitcash Pay, I think those are the 2 that people vocally have the most concerns about. Give them some time, guys. The vision on both those projects is actually quite good. You just need to give it time to develop, whether it's on the branding, the marketing, the product. It takes time. Like, I understand this is crypto, and if it doesn't pump 5,000% in 3 minutes, it's a total failure. But give it some time. This is the real world, guys. Projects take time to build, and you can look to previous Launchpad performance, and that is a clear indicator of that. How up to date is the staked amount of swap and leaderboards? It's at least to the day. I'm not sure if it's to the hour. I'll have to look into that. When will we be able to sell our Launchpad flash launch allocations? You could sell your golden tickets whenever you want. Launchpad allocations, everybody gets one. So I guess you could sell it so that somebody could double up. 93. I'm going to look into this a little bit more. I like this idea. It makes things more complex, which I don't like, but it introduces a really interesting economy. I like the game theory behind it. Let me look into this. I like it. UTXO model. TrustSwap has been good at introducing one or two other blockchains to the community, with the major liquidity being on ETH, Binance Chain, and soon Cardano. Has TrustSwap strategized about how they'll introduce their community to Cardano DeFi using the UTXO model once it launches on the, oh my God, Alonzo HFC in Q2? Could be a major value add in both ecosystems. I'm actually not too familiar with Cardano, to be quite honest. Well, I know about Cardano, but I've never heard of Alonzo HFC before. But bottom line, we're always looking to expand to other blockchains, and we will bring our smart launch services there, liquidity locks, token locks, and minting. And then in the future, everything else as well. And that includes token swaps, and that includes subscriptions. Question 95, we're powering. When are you guys starting to use Twitter more? No posts about the perfect two launches, Stater and Cellframe. Well, I mean, we post probably 3 times a day. I know because I do it myself. I don't know why I haven't outsourced this yet. I actually just really enjoy using the Twitter account. But we have actually posted about Stater and Cellframe recently. So just hit the notification button. Is there possible to have more information about the launch project, like what its benefit for the ecosystem, what comparable projects? Yeah, so we do a Medium post that explains every Launchpad and Flash launch project, and it's like a high level. If you want to do more research, that's on you. We're not going to be like a full research company that does like comparisons and stuff. So if I like this question because it shows you're keen on doing due diligence. But if you want to find out more information, just go check it out. Ask in their telegrams, check out their white paper, all that kind of stuff. Ask their team. I'm sure they'll be able to help. Is there a way to see total burned in real time? That'll be on Etherscan. Just check our total supply. That'll show you. All right. Question number 98. We have 13 minutes left. Really appreciate all your hard work and sincerity to the community. Thank you. Watching your AMA made me want to be a part of this wonderful project. Awesome. Hopefully this one does the exact same. The Flash launch is a good idea as a bonus, and I like it. However, it's causing a lot of disappointment in the community. As more people miss out, it will get very toxic. Please find a creative way for more community members to get a chance to win, rotation system, etc. Some good ideas have been put forward. I really want the community spirit that I experienced in the beginning to return. All the best. This is how you voice critique. Fantastic message. Thank you very much. The great message. So yeah, this is the struggle. It's the perception of entitlement of people. It's like, because Launchpads exist, therefore I should get an allocation. Well, sorry, Flash launches exist, therefore I should get an allocation. Well, Launchpads exist, therefore you get an allocation. Flash launches are a bonus that are set up under a particular model, and the model is as the model is. Some people have said, well, can we start blacklisting people if they've already won, or reducing the percentage? Again, as I mentioned, it starts introducing complexities and it makes it weird. And it's like a roulette table. Every spin is fair. If number 32 wins once, they don't take number 32 off the board. Anybody can win anytime. It's always proportional. And then it's like, well, what if someone that had like a 10x multiple wins a Flash launch ticket? Well, do we blacklist them? Or do we take them down to 9? Or then how do we track that? We need to make things easy on the team. We need to make things easy to understand, because already there's so much confusion just between the difference of Launchpad and Flash launch that we've heard the question probably about 10 times already. I like where you're coming from, and I'm open to hearing more ideas, but they need to be simple. And I don't want to exclude people from future ones just because they won. And I also don't want to lower their chances just because they won as well. So it's random every time. What exactly we'll be doing for shopping.io? They are giving stakers 10%. So we help introduce them to different partnerships, and we help them with marketing. It was kind of like the initial thing. Like, we just really helped them gain exposure, and especially myself personally, I really helped the shopping.io team. So that's where it came from. I am worried that my staked 4,000 swap Okay, thank you for the, will not cut it for the 1x allocation in the near future. Will they raise this minimum or lower the allocation? So 4,000 swap staked or 2,500 swap score, I guarantee you guys, it's never going to go higher than that. So it'll never be more than that. So if you have 4,000 staked, you're good. You're in. You're solid. You're locked. When other exchanges, we are working on a couple other tier 1 exchanges currently. But no timelines on them. Kind of, it's more of a ecosystem play. So if you can, maybe you might be able to figure out what that one is then. What ecosystem are we diving into? What exchange? Interesting. How do we access the TrustSwap drop on Modify? So there should be a Medium article on the Modify, or just check out the Modify Telegram. Or if you just Google TrustSwap Modify airdrop, you'll probably find it. Current swap downtrend, or what we call it, pump correction and overall performance of Launchpad projects. Ish. Man, just zoom out, guys. Zoom out. Will TrustSwap have Ideos on Binance Smartchain and Avalanche? Yes, we already do. The only thing we don't have yet is the token locks, liquidity locks. And so those are coming within the month. Will TrustSwap ever acquire / build a KYC platform? No. Block Pass, really, really great value. It costs 20 cents for 1 KYC ish. So it's a great deal, but it's not necessarily a lucrative business model. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of liability, and we're not going to take that on for that amount of upside. Huge hats off to Block Pass for doing what they do. I recommend them, but we're not going to do anything in regards to KYC or storing user data. Are there any plans to release an app similar to the dashboard? I think it would make it easier to folks to check in frequently to stay up to date on Launchpad dates and whether example notifications when KYC goes live, etc., etc. Okay, well, number one, I mean, you can visit the, what you can do on your phone is you can always bookmark a page and add it to your home screen. So for example, if you're like, oh, I want dashboard.trustswap/launchpad to be on my home screen, you can actually do that. It should just like click three little dots on the top, add it to your home screen. Boom, you go right there. Really easy. Mobile app, I mean, we could build one. Might not be the worst idea. It's kind of interesting, actually. But we got an acquisition coming. I think it'll be a little bit better than just that. So don't worry. Well, I shouldn't say we have an acquisition coming. We are finalizing an acquisition. Anything can happen. Might not go through. But I'm pretty confident about it. Will Swap be available to trade on BSC in the near future? Yes. No timeline on that. However, probably within 2 months for sure. Could we do more regular launches beyond the 1 or 2 that were promised? No, we're going to do 1 or 2 a month just because it's actually difficult to find 1 or 2 quality launch pads per month. Flash launches are a lot easier to come by that are quality. Launch pads, quality ones are harder to find. So we're going to commit to 1 or 2. If we could get 3 1 month, we could get 4, we could get more, but we're not going to commit to anything higher than that. And I wouldn't even say we're committing to 1 or 2. That's just our goal and what we aim for. Won't Swappable be a competitor to SOTA? In a way, yes. Yep, but there's definitely, NFT space is huge. So there's way more, enough room in the ocean for both of us. We are on question 111. What would be for TrustSwap the most likely business model adoption during a bear market? Okay, we talked about that. TrustSwap should offer a quality certificate like Smart Launch for existing coins. It can be, yeah. So we're going to do this. If you launch with Smart Launch, you're going to have all your metrics displayed. How much is locked in liquidity and tokens? Is there a mint function? Blah, blah, blah. It's going to be fully robust. So we're going to have this gold standard of security for Smart Launch. Okay, I like TrustSwap a lot, but there is not a lot of hype about TrustSwap Launchpad projects, as with other Launchpad projects. Do you plan to increase marketing efforts to change that? I would probably debate that. Maybe we're not doing the big retweet campaigns, but I would debate that. We're always increasing our marketing efforts. In fact, I haven't mentioned this in the live stream yet, but I spent a good amount of time yesterday. I don't know why I didn't outsource this one either. Sometimes I just like doing weird, arbitrary things. But anyways, I went on pretty much all across YouTube. I searched Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto, every little keyword, and I sent a message to every single person I could find. And so anyways, we might have some coverage coming up soon. Some other platforms I know or stakes such as Polkastarter or DuckDAO have better here. So this guy's following it up. Maybe it's the same guy though. Have better marketing for their ICOs, getting their communities more involved, resulting in immense returns for their tokens. Are we going to do this? Oh, that's a big question. So yeah, it sounds like some people are honestly calling for us to force people's hand. You know what? I'm going to write this down. We're never going to make it a requirement. But what we could maybe do in the application form is leave a little thing that says, hey, if you want to support the project, retweet this, leave a comment, tag a friend, and you'll enter to, win this prize. So it's like, hey, do this and you're going to win a prize. So that's a bonus. 5 minutes left. Do you see TrustSwap getting involved in the rising popularity of NFTs in the entertainment industry and arts? 100%. We got crazy things happening once Swappable goes live, guys. What music are you listening to right now? Actually, you can, you know what? I'm going to show my own Spotify channel. You search Jeff Kerdakis on Spotify. Check out Smooth Groove. Check out Feel That. Those are two pretty sweet playlists. There might be another one called Chill Bass. That one's pretty nice too. It's more like electronic stuff, but I really like, those are like my like public playlists, and I listen to a bunch of other stuff. Pretty much everything. If I turn the camera, my piano is right over here. I've been playing a lot of piano. So I enjoy like classical, I enjoy rock, I enjoy like Black Keys are very, very cool. That's a little bit mainstream of me to say, but I love them. Just like nice and grungy. So anyway, super diverse, and we'll get too deep into that. I love music. I just bought these bad boys. Sennheiser PXC 550s. Get these. They suck for phone calls, but they are amazing for music. I love music. So, Given that you were, they're starting to get a little personal, but maybe this is actually a good way to kind of wrap up the thing. Given that you are an outdoorsman at heart, what is TrustSwap's approach to in offsetting the environmental impact? So yeah, our NFTs are our golden tickets. We allocate 10% of all proceeds to the Eden Reforestation program. So if you're not familiar with the Eden Reforestation program, it's very, very, very cool. It's not just them planting trees, but how it works is every 10 cents, you're seeing a tree, not just planted, but grown to full maturity. So how do they do that? Well, they employ local people in these really disenfranchised areas, developing nations, to get the tree all kind of like the seedling, grow it up, plant it, and then continue to go back, water it, care for it, all those kinds of things. And so not only is it paying for the supplies and the resources, but it's also paying the workers in that area. So not only are you planting trees, reforesting the world in really desertified areas, but you are also giving back, empowering people financially in really disenfranchised areas. So I think that's super, super cool. It really warms my heart. Check out their website, Eden Reforestation. And you know what? We got 3 minutes left. We got a few more questions down the pipeline, but I'm not going to be able to get to them. So I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. Actually, check out Eden Reforestation program. I think that's probably one of the coolest things you can do. A very awesome project. And something that I checked out earlier last week, I went out to Victoria Island, or Vancouver Island, I guess, and I saw this tree called Big Lonely Doug. I'd suggest Googling that. Kind of makes me a little bit emotional thinking about it, and just kind of what's going on in Canada with clear cutting of forests. It's really crazy. And we only have 3% of our old growth forest left. Once it's gone, it's gone. So the question is, are we going to stop cutting those trees either now or when they're all gone? So check that out. Anyways, talk to you guys later.